Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's meeting of the Assembly Committee on Growth and Infrastructure. Mr. Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Assemblywoman Brown-May. Here. Assemblyman Carter.
Present.
Assemblywoman Dickman.
Here.
Assemblywoman Gallant.
Here.
Assemblyman Gurr. Here. Assemblywoman Kasama.
Here.
Assemblywoman Marzola.
Here.
Assemblywoman Miller.
Here.
Assemblyman Miller.
Present.
Assemblywoman Peters.
Here.
Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong.
Present.
Chair Watts.
And I am here. Thank you very much. Members, we have two items on our agenda today, two bill hearings. Before we get started, a couple of quick housekeeping notes. Anyone wanting to provide testimony, please sign in at the table by the entrance to the room. Leave a business card if you have one. Everyone, please make sure to silence your electronic devices. Anyone wishing to provide public comment will have an opportunity to do so at the end of the meeting. We'll ask everyone to limit their public comments to 2 minutes. Anyone testifying or providing public comment, please be sure to clearly state and spell your name for the record before beginning. Anyone wishing to provide testimony or public comment by phone can find that information posted on our agendas, which can also be found on the Nevada Legislature's website. With that, we'll go ahead and move right into our business for the day. And I will start by opening the hearing on Assembly Bill 302, which revises provisions governing state-issued identification. And I don't know if anyone else served on this committee in 2019, so I at least will welcome you back to the Committee on Growth and Infrastructure, Assemblywoman Backus. Whenever you're ready, you can proceed.
Okay, good afternoon, Chair Watts and members of probably one of my favorite committees that I've served on, the Committee on Growth and Infrastructure. For the record, I am Shay Backus and am the Assemblywoman from Assembly District 37. Today it is my pleasure to introduce Assembly Bill 302. Prior to walking the committee through the bill, I want to provide you with why I brought this bill. As part of my legal practice, I provide pro bono service to children subject to abuse and neglect through the Legal Aid Center of Southern Nevada's Children's Attorney Project. We commonly refer to ourselves as CAP attorneys. This bill is being brought on behalf of one of my clients, Jolea. I represented Jolea from the time she was 10 years old until aging out of the system, along with providing representation after she aged out. That's why I'm able to share her name, because she's no longer a minor. As part of aging out of the process, meaning the child has now turned 18 years old and is now an adult, the Department of Family Services makes sure that the minor has identification prior to the minor aging out, whether that is a Nevada ID or a driver's license. When Jolea turned 18, it was immediately after COVID-19 closures, and when DMV reopened, and getting an appointment for an identification card took several months. Although Jolea's caseworker checked online daily for canceled appointments, it took a while for Jolea to get an ID from Department of Motor Vehicles. When she went to the department to get an identification, she was denied an ID card and handed a letter. I want to read this letter to the committee, and imagine being 18 and getting denied an identification card. If you are not in compliance with registration requirements in chapters 179A and 483 of NRS, you will not be issued or permitted to renew a Nevada driver's license, commercial driver's license, or identification card. What you need to do: contact the criminal history repository at the 775 number and ask to speak with a case investigator assigned to the sex offender registry. You will be instructed to report to the local law enforcement agency in the jurisdiction in which you reside to complete registration requirements. You may also be provided with information on how to complete the annual verification process. After completing registration requirements, please allow 3 business days for registration information to be updated at the state registry before reapplying for your driver's license, commercial driver's license, or identification card. You will not be eligible to renew through alternative methods and must visit your local DMV field service offices. And it's like, I guess the signatory line is Nevada's Department of Motor Vehicles and Department of Public Safety. That day, I received frantic calls and text messages about her experience at DMV. I recall hearing Jolea saying, "Ms. Shea, have I ever been convicted of a sex crime? Having represented this child since she was 10 years old, I knew she hadn't." I called Department of Public Safety with Jolea to find out, did she have to report as a sex offender, as I thought this was clearly an error. Hearing the confirmation that this was in fact true, that she had to report as a sex offender, I explained that this could not be the case and shared my history of representing this child as her CAP attorney. I asked them how her record could be cleared up. We were connected to another department and informed that we just had to secure her fingerprints and remit the same to the department. Sounds kind of easy, but it was not. Jolea and I made an appointment to get her finger printed. When we showed up with the information to show her identity, a social security card and a birth certificate, we were informed that she had to have an acceptable identification card, such as a Nevada ID. Her high school ID would not cut it. This is when the challenge started. We asked Department of Family Services for help to see if we could get her fingerprinted as she aged out of the system. They could not do so because she would need an acceptable identification card. We were in a vicious cycle, leaving her the option of temporarily reporting as a sex offender to get an ID, to get fingerprints, to get her record cleared up. This was not an acceptable option. At one point, I thought she had cleared it up, the issue, when she went up here to Job Corps. However, I just asked her a couple weeks ago when she called me if she ever got her identification card, and she said no. She is now 20 years old without an acceptable identification card. The nice part about bringing a bill like this is that I have now discovered other ways to assist Jolea. But this bill could assist others that find themselves in this same situation. At this time, I will walk the committee through AB 302. Section 2 provides for the Director of DMV to create limited purpose identification cards and an application for such card. Section 2 further creates the mechanism for DMV to accept or deny such application for a limited purpose identification card. Section 4 provides more details as to the form of the application and the process for applying for the limited purpose identification card. Section 5 provides that the applicant must also furnish proof of their age pursuant to NRS 483.860. Section 3 provides who is entitled to a limited purpose identification card. Specifically, the person must be 10 years or older, does not already hold a valid driver's license or identification card, and has been deemed ineligible to secure a driver's license or identification card due to the provision set forth under NRS 483.283.61 or .929. Those provisions essentially require a driver's license, identification card, or commercial driver's license, whether for issuance or renewal, for a sex offender to comply with Chapter 179D of the NRS. Basically, the sex offender is to report to the Department of Public Safety and be in compliance with 179D. Section 3 further provides the form of the limited purpose identification card and allows DMV to establish any needed regulations, including setting the fee for the limited purpose identification card. Section 3 also provides that such limited purpose identification card expires in 30 days and must be surrendered upon the issuance of a driver's license or an identification card. Section 3, subsection 2 specifically provides the purpose of the limited purpose identification card being that it must be used by a person solely to provide identification for the purpose of challenging the accuracy or sufficiency of information relating to records of criminal history pursuant to NRS 179A.150, and most importantly, for one to secure fingerprints. Section 6 provides a criminal penalty of misdemeanor for a person who alters a limited purpose identification card, refuses to surrender it, lends his or her limited purpose identification card to another person for their use, or willfully fails to surrender another person's limited purpose identification card when it comes into their possession. Section 7 provides when the bill would be effective, which is essentially upon passage to prepare for the issuance of a limited purpose identification card, and such a card being available January 1st, 2024. I'd ask this committee to support Assembly Bill 302, and I'm ready for any questions.
Wow, thank you very much for the presentation of this bill. With that, we'll go to questions from members. We'll begin with Assemblywoman Kasama.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for bringing this fabulous bill forward. My only question is, does your client have their ID now?
Thank you for the question, Assemblywoman by and through Chair Watts. No, she does not have her ID, but through this bill, I've been able to get a lot of help from a lot of people in the building, and so hopefully we can get her an ID.
Thank you.
Thank you. Members, additional questions? Vice Chair Brown-May.
Thank you for that really great presentation, and what an issue to identify. Amazing, and your great work on the CAP program. I just want to clarify just one question. This limited ID is really only for a period of 30 days while you work through the other issues in order to get really a valid ID, or, as you said, challenge misinformation that is stopping the issuance of a valid ID.
Thank you, Vice Chair by and through Chair Watts. It is only 30 days, and I keep thinking about the situation, and I'm always open to an amendment to extend it longer, because in this situation, I think of my client being in a privileged place where she has me, and 30 days, I would have her get her new ID and then turn around and get the fingerprints and send them off. So I am open to an amendment. Other people have reached out on some other really good ideas for this situation, because right now this limited ID is clearly just for the purposes of cleaning up your record under Chapter 179D.
Thank you. I guess that I'll just follow up a little bit on your last comment and ask. So you ran into this issue in this kind of catch-22. How did you land on this concept as the solution to it? We'll just leave it there. We won't get into into alternative concepts to resolve it. But if you could just kind of help us understand how it arrived at creating this kind of limited temporary ID, that was kind of the mechanism to help break the vicious cycle.
Thank you, Chair Watts. I appreciate that question, because this all was taking place in 2021 when you guys were actually about to go into a special session, and me being like, oh my goodness, I need a resolution here. This is like insane. And so honestly, when I was talking to her, it was always on my forefront that we need to fix something. And I weighed two different options, and there's obviously like a third, but the two options I weighed was, one, this limited identification for purposes of securing a fingerprinting. The other thing I weighed was whether or not we implement a law that would permit someone to get fingerprinted with like an affidavit from someone like myself or someone that knew the person. And I understand the policy behind having a accepted photograph ID to get fingerprints, because we wouldn't want the abuse to happen if that would ever arrive, that someone else is trying to be somebody else. And so I weighed on that. There's other remedies, and I know this is not a money committee, but the fiscal note I anticipate will be probably pretty hefty to create a new identification card. Sometimes I'm agreeable to extend the deadline for when it to be implemented. But if that becomes a barrier, then obviously I would be open to considering revising it to make this situation possible.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I hope whatever solution that we find, that we can get this implemented as quickly as possible, because while I don't know how many people fall into similar scenarios, we definitely want to make sure that they're able to get out of it in a timely manner. And I don't think it's appropriate that anyone who might also find themselves in this situation has to wait years for a piece of legislation to be enacted for that to occur. So, Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong, then Assemblywoman Dickman.
Thank you, Chair Watts, and thank you, Assemblywoman Bacchus. Another example of your kindness to the folks in your community. In addition to extending the time that someone would have, would you also consider that the fee be waived for anyone coming out of foster care?
Thank you, Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong through Chair Watts. I mean, obviously, I would definitely love that. I mean, she would never want to consider herself homeless per se, but at times she was, and I know we had passed for homeless children to be able to get driver's license with a fee waiver. I mean, yeah, because it adds extra, you could understand. I mean, the child is aging out. They do get a small stipend, but it's hardly anything. I think she gets like $900 a month, and that's expected to cover her rent, all of her personal bills and everything. And she's still trying to secure graduating from high school. I mean, there's been a lot of barriers put in place for this one client, but she's pursuing. And so, yeah, it'd be nice, because if not, what's going to end up happening, she's going to pay once for this limited purpose ID. She's going to have to pay for her fingerprints. And then third, she's going to have to pay once she gets a regular identification card, which all of this should have fallen before she turned 18, but because of COVID, it kind of slipped through the cracks.
Thank you for that reply. I would hope, do you have any idea what the cost for each of those steps is? So what are we looking at cost-wise for the limited ID as it stands now, for the fingerprint as it stands now, and then the new ID once all this is cleared up?
Thank you, Assemblywoman, through Chair Watts. I don't know for sure. I can't remember, because this was like, I guess, close to 2 years now when I was taking her to go get fingerprinted, and I haven't gotten an identification card in a while. This bill, AB 302, provides for the department to issue regulations and to set the fee for the limited purpose identification card. And so it will be up to the department to set that fee.
Next, we'll go to Assemblywoman Dickman.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Assemblywoman Bacchus, for this bill. It's crazy the things that come up, isn't it? I mean, it's hard to believe this girl went through all of this. And I think that it's probably important to make that 30 days longer, because with bureaucracy, we know how long things can take. So I would be supportive of an amendment to extend that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Members, any additional questions? Seeing none, thank you very much for the presentation. We'll move on to testimony in support of Assembly Bill 302.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, committee members. Todd Inglesby, President of Professional Firefighters of Nevada. Had no idea about this bill before she got up and presented it, but responding and being a fire captain in the city of Las Vegas on calls, we hear the horror stories all the time of people not being able to get identification cards. Never heard that particular story, but if we can be in support to fix that, I think it's a step in the right direction to help people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kindness is contagious in the committee today. Seeing no one else currently in person wishing to provide testimony in support, Broadcast Production Services, can we see if we have anyone wishing to provide testimony in support of AB 302 by phone?
There are no callers at this time.
Thank you. With that, we'll move to testimony in opposition on Assembly Bill 302, either here in Carson City or in Las Vegas. Seeing none, Broadcast, do we have anyone join us by phone?
There are no callers at this time, Chair.
And finally, we will move to testimony in neutral on AB 302. If there is anyone in Las Vegas, please head on up to the testimony table. And whoever wants to go first, please proceed.
Hello, committee. My name is Elise Monroy Marsala. I'm with Bells and Case Government Affairs. I'm here today in neutral to talk about some other barriers related to identification access. I recently became aware of this issue, so I wanted to bring it to your attention. So NRS 453.431 essentially says that pharmacists may ask for an ID when filling a controlled substance. So recently it's come to my attention that there are patients in Nevada that are trying to fill their prescriptions for medication-assisted treatment called buprenorphine that cannot fill those prescriptions because they don't have an ID. So there are people that find themselves in a situation where they're like waiting outside of a pharmacy for some stranger to like be willing to show their ID to pick up their medication assisted treatment. So ID is access to a government issued ID is a medication access issue. I also want to bring up that it is possible for folks in Nevada who are on Medicaid to get on Medicaid without an ID. To get on Medicaid, you need a social security number and your date of birth. So we have a situation where people have a payer source for medications and treatment, but if they don't have an ID, they can't access those medications that the state is paying for them to access so they can have better health outcomes. There was one more thing, I'm so sorry. Well, it flew out of my brain, so it must not have been that important. But again, I just wanted to say that an ID, being able to access an ID is a medication access issue. So the bill sponsor was wonderful and let me corner her in the elevator today to talk about this. So I just wanted to make sure it was on the record today. Thank you.
Thank you for providing that testimony. Mr. Sever, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair and committee members. Sean Sever from the Nevada DMV. We are neutral on AB 302, but are unfortunately working on a pretty large fiscal note that hasn't been submitted yet. Vendor changes will be needed to create a new ID card format to include verbiage for a temporary limited purpose ID card. And a new transaction will need to be programmed into the DMV system for staff to process such transactions. We appreciate the bill sponsor reaching out to us, and we're happy to work with her further on it. We did meet with the bill sponsor and included the Department of Public Safety, and we think we will be able to help out this particular person get an ID. Thanks.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Sever. I appreciate those efforts, and I do want to take a moment again to thank your agency for all the assistance that you provide to constituents when they reach out to us with issues. I think and again, am very aware of the issues that your agency faces, both with its outdated overall technology system and the challenge of implementing new things. However, I do think that it's really important that we find some systematic ways to address some concerns like this that come up, because not everybody has access or knows to reach out to a legislator who can then reach out to you and the Department of Public Safety to get their issues resolved. I believe we have a question from Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong.
Thank you, Chair Watts. Mr. Seaver, have you all considered in-house if there is a solution that you can offer? Is there some way to modify what you already have in place to fill this gap until your system is fixed, so that we're not just saying we can't? Because I think if we see this issue, I know there are hundreds of children a year, if not thousands, who age out of foster care. So we can't just say we can't. So do you have a solution that you might be able to share with us?
Sure. Sean Sever from the Nevada DMV. We're always willing to work with anyone that has a need, but unfortunately this bill generates a fiscal note, which is we're between IT systems right now, so it is a difficult time at the DMV. This particular case was one person, and we're willing to help that person get an ID. So I guess the best way to do it is to reach out to us and see if we can help you out. Every DMV in the state is willing to help out every Nevada citizen with any issue they have.
Thank you Again, I know that you're in a tough position, Mr. Sever, with all the different things that are going on at your agency. I'll just put it on the record right now that I would very much like to see you and the Department of Public Safety work with the bill sponsor and work with me to figure out some solution to this. Again, I understand that there are a lot of logistical elements to something like this, but the scenario that was described again is something that is frankly unacceptable, and we need to figure out a solution that allows people to get out of this again without having to be fortunate enough to get connected with a legislator who can then try and help them navigate the system. So, members, any additional questions? Thank you very much. Seeing no one else wishing to provide neutral testimony here in Carson City or down in Las Vegas, BPS, do we have anyone wishing to testify neutral on AB 302 by phone?
Chair, there are no callers at this time.
Thank you. Assemblywoman, would you like to make any closing comments?
Thank you, Shay Backus, for the record, which I realized I didn't do after I was responding to each of my questions. That was so weird. But anyway, I just want to say thank you guys for listening, reading the bill, and asking very informative questions. I also want to thank Department of Public Safety as well as Department of Motor Vehicles, because they have been working on ideas and just trying to figure out how we could figure out the best solution for this situation, just so that if it happened to somebody else down the road, they'd be protected. And the irony is I had to run for office to be back here, so kind of funny, but no one forecasted that. I probably would have asked a friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much again. It's great to have you back in this committee. Please keep us updated as those conversations move forward so that we can figure out how to support getting a systematic fix to this issue. And with that, I will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 302, and I will open the hearing on Assembly Bill 304, which revises provisions governing certain special license plates. Welcome, Mr. Inglesby, and proceed whenever you're ready.
Good afternoon again, Mr. Chair, committee members. Todd Inglesby, President of Professional Firefighters Nevada. I just want to thank you guys for allowing me to present the bill. I want to thank sponsor Assemblywoman Natha Anderson, who is in another committee presenting a bill, for her to allow us to do this. This bill seems very silly after listening to Assemblywoman Backus's bill. There's a couple things. Basically, we have a professional firefighter's license plate right now. Those funds from that license plate, we try to provide scholarships. We provide usually around 20 to 15 scholarships per quarter for kids under the Public Education Foundation. And with that, we do initially, when we initially brought this license plates, which I was almost 10 years ago, we required to have proof of membership into the Professional Firefighters Nevada upon getting the license plate, and then they also included it into the renewal. So with that being said, it started causing a lot of problems as the DMV got busier and busier. We started to lose people from maintaining their license plate because they didn't want to go down to the DMV and wait in line. And what we noticed is we started losing a lot of our ability to provide scholarships for members through the Public Education Foundation, because the money directly correlates. How many scholarships we can provide depends on the revenue that we bring in. With that being said, with Assembly Bill number 304, our goal is to eliminate the requirement for us to show proof of membership when we renew. We did that twofold during the pandemic because the long lines and everybody was looking at ways to decrease people going down to the DMV. We thought this was a good avenue and a good starting point for us to accomplish what we wanted to and help our members as well as the DMV. We started working on this back in 2019, and then there was a potential reprogramming that was taking place, and then I just found out yesterday that the reprogramming is still in the works, and it might be 2025 until that reprogramming takes place, which would eliminate us from having to take our, show our proof of identification and our membership card down to the DMV. With that being said, the only change is on page 3 of the bill, number 5. And that basically, again, just eliminates the requirement for us to go down to the DMV and allow us to use the kiosk or online to renew our license plate. And anybody have any questions, I'll be more than willing to answer those, but that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Short, sweet, and to the point. We appreciate it. Members, any questions? I do have one, just again, and I think you may have covered this, and I see it in the language, but for both the professional and the volunteer firefighter plates, those are eligible to any current or former firefighter, is that correct?
That's correct. We provide any retirees or anybody. We also allow people from out of state, if they show proof of membership to one of their, like, for example, California. We have a lot of people who live up here, California, so then we provide them a professional firefighter's card, which allows them to go down and get their license plate too as well.
Thank you. So it seems like once you got it, you're entitled to get it. You probably don't need to keep showing that proof.
That would be the goal, yes, sir.
All right. We got that absolutely clear. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much for the presentation. With that, we'll move to testimony in support of Assembly Bill 304. Seeing no one coming forward in person, BPS, do we have anyone wishing to provide testimony in support of AB 304 by phone?
Chair, there are no callers at this time.
All right. Seeing none, let's move to testimony in opposition of Assembly Bill 304. Again, seeing none in person, BPS, has anyone joined us by phone?
There are no callers at this time, Chair.
All right. And with that, we'll move to testimony in neutral on Assembly Bill 304. Welcome back, Mr. Sever. Hope this one goes better.
Thank you, Chair and committee members. Sean Sever from the Nevada DMV. We do like this bill because our goal is to keep people out of our offices. However, we will have a fiscal note on it, so we just asked the bill sponsor to move the implementation date back, which was mentioned earlier. And of course, we're happy to work with them and appreciate them reaching out to us.
Thank you. All right. Seeing no one else wishing to provide testimony in neutral in person, BPS, do we have anyone wishing to provide testimony in neutral by phone?
Chair, there are no callers at this time.
All right. Any closing remarks? Waved off. All right. Appreciate it. With that, I'll close the hearing on Assembly Bill 304. Thank you very much. Members, that brings us to the last item on our agenda for today, which is public comment. Again, anyone wishing to provide public comment will ask to limit their remarks to 2 minutes and to please clearly state and spell their name for the record before beginning. With that, anyone wishing to provide public comment, either here in Carson City or down in Las Vegas, please come forward. Seeing none at this time, BPS, can we check the phones one more time to see if anyone would like to provide public comment?
Public line is open and working, and there are no callers at this time.
All right. Thank you very much, members. That concludes our business for today. Our next meeting will be on March 28th at 1:30. We're adjourned.